Hello everyone, and welcome to this interview. If you are here, I'm assuming you've seen the other interviews, but if you haven't, Don Post Studios was the first ever producer of latex masks. And over the years, the company has dealt its hand in products like Star Wars, the Universal Monsters, Planet of the Apes, Dune, and many, many others. Don Post Studios was started by my great-grandfather, Don Post Sr., and was further developed by my grandpa, Don Post Jr. A while back, I had the privilege to sit down and chat with my grandpa, and this video is a part of that interview. Please enjoy.
How many locations was Don Post Studios in? Or, was there just one location? What were the...
Well, Don Post Studios started about 1939. Don Post Studios started in a small little office of maybe 300 or 400 square feet in Chicago. And it was started by my dad and his then wife, my mom. And my mom actually financed the start of Don Post Studios. It was the end of the Depression. Nobody had any money. And so she rented a building for my dad, and he worked in there, and he made masks in there. And the first mask he made, let me say he had no idea that Halloween would be a use for masks. So he sculpted some novelty masks, and he did a Santa based on the Coca-Cola Santa. He did a couple of Edgar Bergen puppet characters, and then he got this commission from a place in New York that was going to do a play to do masks of all the political leaders at the time, which would have been FDR, Hitler, Stalin, Mussolini, and then he did a Gandhi mask and some followers of Gandhi. Those masks were used in a skit in New York at a nightclub. What the premise of that skit was, there was a dinner table and all these leaders of all these nations at the time were sitting around that dinner table eating. And there were, just little side jokes where Hitler eating off of everybody else's plate, taking from other people, and they just did a kind of a gibberish based on the way that the world acted at that time politically. It was kind of a hit, but he took the masks with him to SC Notre Dame football game. And they ended up on the Notre Dame side of the stadium leading cheers in a Hitler mask in front of the Notre Dame side of the field. From there, people wanted the masks, and he took people's business cards and addresses and everything so that he could make a mask for them or the character they wanted. So really, that's some of the ways that Don Post Studios started. There was a department store in Chicago named Marshall Fields, and they were actually the first store to carry those masks, to carry the Don Post masks, which they were a thin latex mask. His slogan was kind of a disguise in your pocket, where, you could fold it up and take it with you, but then you could wear it and portray a character, So that's how that business all got started. And then later on, there were novelty distributors in Chicago, New York, and Los Angeles, and places like that, who started carrying the masks. Franco-American in New York, and Raditz in Chicago, and there was several others across the country, and they started buying these masks from my dad. The next thing that happened, they were used in the commission of a famous robbery, which was called the Brinks Holdup. The robbery of a Brinks truck, which these guys ended up getting a lot of money and getting away with it And the newspapers were implicating Don Post as the one who made the disguises for these people, which wasn't true, but they tried to say that my dad was involved in that, but he wasn't, of course. And my dad asked in the Chicago newspaper, he asked for a retraction of the story, and they did give him a retraction, but they gave the retraction, of course, is on the back page where nobody'd read it. But that's the way the media works.
Want to see more of these videos? Well, there are more on the way, so keep an eye out on this channel to see the next Don Post interview. And with that, I say goodbye.